We'll open the meeting. And we'll start with the Fitchburg COVID update. So since March 1st of 2020, the city of Fitchburg has had 4,861 confirmed cases. At present, as of this morning, we have 28 active cases. Since yesterday, we've gained 3 cases. In the last 7 days, we've had 18. In the last 2 weeks, we've had 37. And then the last month, or 30 days, we've had 62 cases. And we are now starting to encounter breakthrough cases. Today was my first that we have discovered that the confirmed case is actually vaccinated. And unfortunately, it occurred at a city building. So we have begun to initiate some quarantine and isolation orders to those individuals involved. Before I move on, is there any questions in regards to those numbers?
Yes, how many breakthrough cases?
The only thing I know, the only one I know of is one.
I do know that the CPC has the ability to run a report on and tell how many breakthrough cases there are for each town, because we did it for Westminster and Athol yesterday, and there are more than you think.
Yeah. See, the ability to, unless you actually interview or read the client's maiden notes, you wouldn't know it was a breakthrough. So apparently there's an avenue. Nurse Knight pointed out that there's an avenue to find that out, so I will get on that first thing in the morning. Well, on Monday morning, that is. So no discussion on that?
Well, I just want, I know that when we see the breakthrough cases, people get anxious. But if you look at the big picture, the millions of people that are vaccinated, we're just seeing a small group of breakthroughs. So I do think it's a big deal, but I don't think that we're seeing a phenomenal amount of breakthroughs. But we are seeing some, as expected.
So my concern is, according to CDC guidelines, communities that have 50 cases are considered high transmission cases. And then communities that have more than 25 cases are considered substantial. So we are falling into the substantial ranking.
But what if it's a big city like Boston? And
Well, it's based on 100,000 people, okay. But I'm basing it on our population.
Okay.
So moving on. We have some vaccination data, courtesy of Superintendent Jones, who did my job for me. I'll pass it around. You might as well give it in, get the sister of fun. So it looks like 69.1% of Fitchburg's, 69.1% of the state population has had a vaccination or a first dose. And 62 in Fitchburg, 62.3. That's just for first dose data.
Could you repeat those numbers again, Steve? It's hard to hear you. Sorry.
Sure can. 69.1 people in the state of Massachusetts have at least had their first dose.
Okay.
And 62.3 people in Fitchburg have had their first dose. So they are not fully vaccinated, they are partially vaccinated.
And what's the date that information is taken from?
This is
As
as
of-
of 7/27, July 27th.
Thank you.
But about a week ago. Both of those numbers are steadily increasing, about a percentage point a week, it looks like. It is a race. So. But now the overall. Well, it looks like the overall vaccination rate in the city of Vicksburg is just around 47%.
Where do you see that?
Yeah, I'm not finding it. I found it.
Oh, I see it here.
The first thing, so this is fully vaccinated on this side, partially
Yeah,
first dose on this side, so Pittsburgh 47.4%,
and then
fully vaccinated in the states at 62.3% fully vaccinated.
I see 55.1. What do you see?
Oh, right above me. 62.3.
Oh, okay, that's the state.
Yeah,
So it looks like, yeah, we're 47.4 and the state is 62.3. So we're still lagging behind a little bit. Bob, did your folks receive a copy of this report?
Yeah, I shared that PowerPoint with the snippets with school committee and my leadership team, or our leadership team here.
Do we need to go over any other data on this report?
I'd like to hear what the numbers are for 12 to 18, 12 to 19 students who would be in elementary, middle school. If you have that, please.
Broken down to age. Yes, it is.
So. So it looks like Pittsburgh from age 12 to age 15, 46.6% of the population is vaccinated, and then compared to the state is 59.1, difference of 12%, 12.5%. And then age 16 to 19, 42.7% of the population is vaccinated. That's compared to 65 to the state, which is 22.3% less.
The 65 to 74, but it really,
Sorry, Steve?
the older folks. If you look at the older folks, the age 63 to 74.
Yeah, the school folks are probably not interested in those.
Well,
Probably interested in the youth numbers. That's okay. You got your track.
all done.
They were just beginning.
One of them, of course, Steve.
Get it started. Somebody's done it anyway. They're not. So we're just going over the vaccination data from the school folks are participating. Is the data for. So jumping into the next subject is clinics. We did hold a clinic on Tuesday at the schools. We had the Allen ambulance assisted, and they did visit 3 schools on Tuesday. Not too successful at Vicksburg High School. I think we only had 2. And then we went to South Street for a couple of hours and got 3. But they had about 18, I think they did a total of 21 for the day, so about 18 at Memorial. But I believe that also included some general public.
But this is just summer school, right?
That was the intention, was to get the summer school people. And then we were looking at a clinic tonight, but for the first Thursday event, but I called it off because last in July we had the first Thursday event and we had rain and it was sort of very unattended. There were no vaccinations, so I started thinking of thing as today, or as last July. But tomorrow we will try to get, there is an event at the school. We will try to get the Vax bus there from 8 to 2. I apologize. Jeremy, that I don't have confirmation yet, but as soon as I do get confirmation on that, I will reach out to you. We have been ordering vaccine on a regular basis again. We can get it in smaller increments, which is nice. This week we got 60 doses of Pfizer and 50 doses of Moderna. I was able to get those into a clinic at the CHC in an hour. So
In Fitchburg?
yeah. And they're holding clinics in various places. They're moving around too, because right now the largest clinic is, you're lucky to get 8 people.
Do you think the low numbers came about because people already had been vaccinated or because people didn't want to be vaccinated?
I think there's a ton of hesitancy out there. Yeah. We have a very large Spanish population, and as you know, we held about 10 clinics at Mock trying to target. We worked with Mock quite a few weeks in a row. And once we get our dosages again, we'll reach out to Mock and try to see if we can partner with them and try to reach out to that community again. We are also have made arrangements to have vaccinated join the DPH canvassers that are going door to door. The canvasser reports weekly are showing that people are still asking for the vaccine. So we're going to put the vaccinator with that canvasser and see if they're actually really wanting the vaccine or just saying yes to make the canvasser go away. So we'll find that out very shortly, but trying to reach that hard to reach population is the goal. And we will also put them at various events that are upcoming in the city.
No, that's okay.
I don't think the chairman saw your hand.
Oh, I just wanted to ask if, would it be possible if we could use some of the vaccine in Gardner? There's a factory up there that has a large cluster right now. A lot of the employees are testing positive and they're not vaccinated. And we were wondering about maybe a pop-up clinic there. Would that be something that Gardner we could do for Gardner?
Absolutely.
Okay, let's keep that in mind. I'll let them know.
Yeah, let them know, and I would put an extra order in for extra vaccine if they have interest in conducting.
Well, that's, yeah, true. I mean, the interest we hope is there, but we don't know yet. And the other thing is that National Night Out that Fitchburg has, I'm assuming you'll be offering vaccine that night.
That is the goal. I believe National Night Out is on the 26th of August.
Yeah.
It is the goal to have the Vax bus there. I think the event's from 5 to 8. So yes,
Great.
Are we doing anything through churches or?
we did hold some clinics at the Spanish church, 4 or 5, actually. The first couple were very well attended, but the second one, I think we only got about 7 or 8 people. So reaching back out to the churches is not a bad idea once maybe interest grows over the summer.
I don't know, priests or ministers might, as part of their daily homily, say, you know, get out there and get vaccinated.
We reached out to all of them, only a couple were really interested. And we did have clinics at those. But the most successful one was the Spanish church. Surprisingly.
I just personally, I ask all my own patients every day, every patient, have you had your vaccination? I don't think there's been a person who has not had it. They all said, yeah, I got it as soon as I can. So a lot of people are accepting it, but as you say, I had one person who said her son, who was in his 30s, wouldn't get it because he believed us, we're going to be implanting a chip in him. So
Yeah.
so Lord, carries a cell phone, same thing. But, you know, I don't know quite how you get around that.
So at some of the events, we're working with our liaison, DPH liaison, which is Jenna David. She is researching, and I believe she does have some representation from Tufts to provide some education at some of these events that and we're really not inserting a chip into around. I've heard some wild things about.
People believe it though, they
Yeah.
really believe it.
You know, it would seem to me just watching television, I mean, every night on the news, they interview people from hospital beds who express regret at not having got the vaccine and saying, I wish I could get it now. But I don't know what it takes. It's pretty amazing. Perhaps seem to say that Darwinism at work, I guess.
This is Jim Walsh, Steve. Before I ask my questions, I only see 2 other people from the school committee. I see Sally Cragen and Mayor Di Natale. So I'm not violating any open meeting laws. We don't have a quorum of school committee members, unless there is somebody who I don't see on the screen. I get a couple of questions I have is, hold on a second. I know that there's the vaccination site set up tomorrow at the high school from 8 to 2. 2 questions. How do we promote these? Do we send something to WPKZ? Do we post it on FATV? Do we send it to the Sentinel? Is it posted on your page? How do people know that these events are taking place? And I guess, what other vaccination events are being held between now and Labor Day so that more of our 12 to 18-year-old students can get vaccinated before school begins?
And yes, now that you're absolutely right, tomorrow probably would not be very well advertised, but yes to all those media outlets that you mentioned. If we had the time, we would have put it out there in advance.
So, Jim, I can comment just on the vaccination clinic that we ran on Tuesday. We promoted that in 4 different languages on our social media platforms and through some word of mouth by some of our staff as well. So what started out as 2 vaccinations from the first stop ended up at 21. And Jeremy, I don't know if he's still on the line here, has a plan ready to go as soon as we get the official word to the blast on the ConnectEds and other forms.
We also equip the canvassers with a flyer when we have all the scheduled events enough in advance. So they'll hand them out to people at door to door as well. In 2 different languages.
Thank you, Steve.
Hey there. So Louisa Fernandez, who's been extremely helpful with our schools and getting the word out to parents, again, as a liaison. And I do want to stress, this is our community, that everyone in Fitchburg who needs a vaccination, these are our kids that we have. There's, you know, the prefix is us and ours. I just want to really stress that. I also wanted to say, we are doing Be Positive with Friends of Fitchburg Dogs. I see Sam's here. Hello. We are doing a low-cost vaccine clinic at Fitchburg Fire Department on the 18th of September, which again is after school begins. But those are always extremely popular, extremely well attended. We had more than 100 pets vaccinated in May, and I believe it was well over half were, you know, Fitchburg families. So I just want to say that I'm writing an email to Steve, to the chief, fire department chief, to Bob, and also to Louisa, because I think she's got to be an integral part of the outreach to our community, our Spanish speaking community. And I will, again, posters and flyers help too, things taped up on walls, but I'm sending an email to everyone saying, you know, if we could do a vaccine clinic that same day for folks. I mean, Sam, what are your thoughts? Because we have people coming in, you know, we'll put a box on our pet vaccine and, you know, like divide it in half. If people are coming and they haven't been vaccinated, and again, they'll be able to talk to people there. I feel like that the good word on this has got to keep going. I'm just back from Cape Cod, and I was there when the news about Provincetown broke. They had 60,000 people 4th of July weekend up in P-Town. And I heard people talking how no one was wearing masks and people were in small rooms because it was a rainy weekend, et cetera. So I feel like I'm very primed on this is urgent. So I know, you know, everyone else is too. And Steve, I so appreciate the work that you're doing. And again, our collaboration with the schools is essential to reaching more of our families. So I'll put that email in there and welcome anyone's comment.
So we can move on. So I just wanted to have a quick discussion about the school reopening. And just point out that both DESE and the Department of Public Health, I believe, have put out guidance. DESE's guidance is more, I think, a little bit more stringent, but basically states that unvaccinated people have to wear a mask and try to go social distance, and vaccinated people do not have to wear a mask. And I just like to throw a discussion out there if there's any. I personally have concerns that our numbers in the city are rising. And I'm starting to see cases that are actually popping up in the building. It's a matter of time before we start seeing cases popping up in schools once they're in session. I don't know if it's time to push the panic button right now and say we should mask up and the school should mask up in every municipal building, and the public should mask up while indoors because that is the CDC guidance. So I throw that out there for discussion.
Well, since, you know, I would have to say something, right? Since K through 12, or 12 and under can be vaccinated at this time, I would support that at least that age group have mask mandates, at least inside the building, but not, you know, they could take them off when they go outside for recess, and of course for food breaks. But I think that I would rather be proactive than wait and see what's going to happen. And we're already seeing there's a football issue in Gardner, football practice. We're already seeing sports things come up, and school hasn't even started. Yeah.
I agree with Sandy. I think not only the unvaccinated, but probably the vaccinated also ought to be wearing masks indoors. That might also serve as an encouragement for the unvaccinated people to get vaccinated, because I think we're all getting tired of wearing masks. But I think even people who are vaccinated can contract the virus and carry it. They may not be symptomatic, may not get as ill. But I think if you're going to have large numbers of people congregating indoors, and as much as it's a nuisance, I think safety would say that probably everyone, students and teachers, ought to mask up when indoors. Just not in favor of that.
So would that apply to schools, public buildings, sports? I guess what I'm trying to say is, if I were to write up an order, maybe for a future meeting, or write up an order, and I apologize, I was going to write it up for tonight, but it didn't happen.
Well, I think certainly in schools, except when eating, of course, eating or drinking, you have to have your mask on. I think, I think probably public buildings would also fall under that guidance. Sports a little bit more difficult, I think, especially outdoor sports, running around with it, especially on track or something, running a mask on is difficult. I think probably people ought to attend to, you can't do football very well, but in what sports you can social distance outside. But I'm not sure I would be in favor of insisting on masks for sporting events. And certainly at the Olympics, they're not wearing them. And so I think it's, I wouldn't favor it for sports, but I think for school indoors and in public buildings, I think it's important at this point, mainly as you say, because our numbers are going up and it's just snowball again.
So why don't we prepare an order based on what you vote on, and prepare an order for your signature? So we could include public buildings, schools, or all municipal buildings, actually. And
Who's that include, what municipal buildings include besides city hall?
it would be, I would assume it would include the police department,
Okay, that's fine.
department, anything on any building owned by the city,
Okay.
airport.
Oh,
Do you want us to make a motion to that effect, or
Yeah, if
okay,
that is,
shall I?
Can we hear from the school department at all?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't have any children, and I'm not a nurse or a doctor. So I thought maybe I just ask the people who work in schools, who know how the children behave and how they move through the buildings. What's your feeling on this? Anyone who works in the school system?
This is Jim Walsh again. I'm on the school committee. I don't work in any school buildings, but knowing the fact that all students who are under the age of 12 years old can't be vaccinated. We're looking at grades pre-K up through at least grade 6, maybe even into middle school, grade 7, that you'll have classrooms of students who cannot receive a vaccination. And as Steve's numbers from before, I think it was 55% of the population in Fitchburg has been one dose, 47% have been fully vaccinated, but obviously that's not reflecting our younger children who are in elementary and part of middle school. And I don't know what the numbers are for vaccinations for all the teachers and staff who work in buildings, and I don't know how we would enforce something that says if you're unvaccinated, you have to wear a mask. And to me, I feel that the safest thing for us to do, as Dr. Bogdasarian said, is that everybody wear a mask. What I don't want to see happen is, as Steve said, as our numbers increase, I don't want us to go back to remote learning. I don't think anybody does, but that's not my decision. I just let you know how I feel, and I I think what is the safest way to go, and you know, if I have to wear a mask to not only save me but to save somebody else, I would do it. And as Steve said, there's been a breakthrough case, and it's very possible. You know, I was vaccinated in February and March. I don't want to get it again. But I'll stop there. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll
Can I, sorry, go ahead, Bob.
well, no, Jeremy, you go ahead. I'll follow you.
Thanks, and appreciate the opportunity to comment. I think, you know, hearing the numbers, Steve, that 43.6% of 12 to 15-year-olds and 42.7 of 16 to 19 would make it really difficult to police in a building with almost 1,300 students if it was following DESE's recommendation exclusively, which, you know, if you are vaccinated, you don't have to wear a mask, and if you're not, you do. It would be really difficult to know who has and who hasn't, first of all. Secondly, I think if we're also having all students return and not doing 6 by 6 or even 3 by 3 in the spacing, and then integrating back in what would be considered to be kind of like a normal lunch period. Again, I think that the some wearing and some not wearing it would be really tough to monitor. And if it might just be an incentive too to get that number up to 70 or 75% or 80 or whatever, to say, hey, we got some work to do to get more people vaccinated. And part of the education process on our end, my end, really with the high school population to try to do that, because again, I think it would be really challenging to, and maybe not safe. I mean, it's less than 50%. And I don't know what the sort of percentage is on that sort of herd vaccination, or, you know, that concept of if so many are vaccinated, it takes care of the rest. You know, 42 to me doesn't sound like that. And I know we still have 3 weeks before we start school, but that's just my own thought on it at this point. Thank you.
Thanks, Jeremy. Yeah, so I guess let me just try to provide some context for the Board of Health and, you know, listening to some of the comments. So I guess, first of all, just our State Department Commissioner of Education has released guidance that was the joint guidance with Department of Public Health input. And at least as of right now, and which was the original guidance back at the end of the school year, there's still no circumstance that any district can offer remote learning this August, September, when schools return. The guidance that was issued by DESE was, I guess, I'll opine a little bit, but it's really repeating Jeff Riley's comments, a balance. The reality is the mismatch between vaccination, current vaccination and targets, and whether it's 70% that some people have said, the gaps are greatest in the gateway cities. And again, our overall, I think, 2-shot vaccination rate is in the 40s. We, as a school department, are working closely with the Board of Health and with many students, families, and staff on vacation. It's a challenging time to get people vaccinated. And as we begin returning to school, we have had conversations with the Board of Health and internally about having additional vaccinations for our students, families, and really the community. Clearly in Massachusetts, just for the Board of Health's clarification, I don't know how it is on the Board of Health side, but on the school side, every decision is really local control. So the decisions that are made in Fitchburg could be different than Ash West or Lunenburg or I'll say our neighbor to the east, that begins with the letter L. So, the impact of wearing masks, clearly, I'll say it is not ideal, especially on the younger ages, because, literacy, learning, speech are all impacted by wearing masks. Nevertheless, we currently live and work in an environment where individuals under the age of 12 are not eligible because there is no approved vaccine for that group of people. And wearing masks, given the increasing numbers, may be the best course of action. And as Principal Roach said, given where our vaccination rates are and given DESE's guidance in trying to determine even who is vaccinated or claims to be vaccinated, mask wearing would impose, a hardship. It might be too strong a term, Jeremy, but it'll be difficult. So I'll just say, we, myself and other superintendents are awaiting some legal guidance from the Superintendents Association on, I'll say, what school committees can mandate. And in our world, if there are things that are mandated, they still have to be bargained with our units, as I understand it. So, again, Steve and the board are our local health experts, and we rely on your expertise in terms of what is safest for our students, families, and our staff.
Thank you. Also, guys, we have 2 chat messages, but no one's sitting next to the computer to check them. So if you have a question that you put it on the chat messages, if you want to ask it out loud, that would be great. Thank you.
Thanks.
Just for the record, the mayor seems to be having problems unmuting. So he texted me and he asked if we are putting the vaccination events on the city webpage. And yes, I have. They're on the city homepage. Tomorrow is not there, but 2 days.
I just wanted to tell everybody that I just got the latest count for today. We have 1,046 new cases in Massachusetts today. That's up over 100. It's going up by over 100 every day this week, it seems.
I think if we're looking at it from a safety standpoint and from a health standpoint, it would seem the best approach would be to make everyone mask up. I agree. I don't think we can try to figure out who's been vaccinated and who's not. And then there's some carrying of the virus, even by those who are vaccinated. I think to prevent another real surge in cases, as unhappy as it is, I think that it would be best to have everyone wear a mask and do our best to prevent further increase in cases. Otherwise, we'll be doing remote learning again. I don't think anyone wants that.
Indoors?
Indoors, yes. Indoor essentially. That would be my recommendation anyway.
Agree with that. I've heard.
Yeah, that sounds great. I'm happy to hear that everybody agrees on that. Shall we make a motion now or discuss more or?
Right. Should we make that a motion then that is a motion. I think everyone agrees. Do you want me to say it again or?
Include all public municipal buildings also.
I think that the Board of Health recommends from moving forward that students, well, individuals attending school, both students and teachers, and those entering municipal buildings in Fitchburg, wear a mask at all times unless eating or drinking. Right, leave anything out or?
For the kids outside, recess, and they have to wear on the bus anyway, that's already,
And perhaps we should,
Transportation is already there.
yeah.
yeah, where possible with outdoor events and social distancing be observed. I suppose that's gonna come. Football and sports.
Set an effective date so I can put this all together and then we can get the word out.
Well, I said,
Well, we sent the.
from here before, I don't know if that's too soon. What would all seem to be a reasonable starting time for that?
September 1st,
Sorry.
September 1st.
When does school start? August 25th.
What is it right now, the 25th?
I don't want to text that 25th.
I can get it together and possibly for you, if you wanted to make it short.
Yeah, I think, yeah, we might as well, if school starts, like, you know what?
When, at the start, whatever the date starting school will be, I think.
This is Bob. It's the audio is sometimes stronger and clearer than other times. So can I just ask the Board of Health to clarify, is masks indoors only, which would be, I guess I'll say, similar to the guidance from DPH and DESE?
I would use the same language, yes. It would be indoors.
And I guess, and I also heard with the exception of, I guess, eating and drinking. So that would be breakfast.
Right, we said that, yes, yeah.
But outside unmasked activities would be allowed.
Yes. How does that sound to you, Chunkler? How does that sound to you, motion? Is it reasonable? You're gonna hurt my feelings.
Given where we're at as a community vaccination rate and the current trend, I would say that does sound reasonable. My only question would be for the Board of Health, the frequency and the metrics that this is reviewed to hopefully have this be a short-term requirement.
Yeah. That's not infinite.
We should set a date where we reevaluate.
We can reevaluate at every meeting, it would only take a few minutes to do that, so.
Yeah, we could, that's a good point. We could say, to be reevaluated each month at our Board of Health meeting.
Is that reasonable, Superintendent? Could you hear that?
Is monthly often enough?
Yeah, I'm just trying to click my unmute button here as quickly as you're asking the question. So if that's the frequency that you're meeting, or maybe even every 2 weeks, again, you tell me. I guess we're monitoring the data mutually together, and
We could do it monthly or as needed. I mean, if we notice a drastic decrease in cases in a week, or and it's consistent, maybe we would want to change that. We don't certainly want it to go on, or, you know,
I
we
think,
want to end it as soon as we can.
we could say this recommendation will be reevaluated at least monthly or sooner, as indicated.
Once I write it up, I'll share it with everybody for some input. How's that sound?
Sounds good
Okay.
to me.
About the 22nd, that's a Sunday, Sunday the 22nd, or Monday the 23rd. That gives you a week to draft it up.
Wow, you're a sweetheart.
Well, I'm afraid school's gonna start and we're gonna break the news.
So you'll make it effective the 23rd?
23rd is Monday, yeah. You can work the weekend, right? You're,
Yeah, I can work Sunday. I'm really the whole week.
I know.
So if I write it Monday, we can make it effective the following week. It gives it time to get the information out. I think that's reasonable.
Yeah,
Effective on the 30th, you mean, or
She said the 23rd.
the 23rd?
23rd. I'll be glad to work with you on it.
I appreciate that. That, you probably should make that official in a vote.
Yeah, I'll vote on
Is that a,
it. Yeah,
aye?
I,
Okay.